Do you dread the holiday season? Like maybe it's not the festivities that's the problem, but the family. Does your family put the fun in dysfunctional? Well, get ready with me for holidays with toxic family members, mindfulness style, of course. Hello, and welcome to Torches Yoga and Mindfulness. I'm Lauren, and I'll be your coach. If you're curious about mindfulness, healing, and practical habits that actually work, you're in the right place. Here we focus on simple but powerful practices grounded in ancient wisdom and modern science to help care for both your mind and body. So go ahead, hit that like and subscribe so you don't miss what's next. So many of us feel this mix of excitement and tension when it comes to family time. If you have ever sat across the table and thought, here we go again, or if you've even struggled just to show up to the table in the first place, this one is for you. If we approach the holidays mindfully, we will survive and maybe even thrive this holiday season when family dynamics feel heavy. Today, we're going to talk about what toxic behavior looks like, how to recognize your own triggers, setting boundaries, protecting your energy, and giving yourself grace. So let's get into it. When we talk about toxic family dynamics, some experiences may come to mind. Some seem obvious, but others are a little bit more subtle. These toxic behaviors may look like recurring patterns of gaslighting, overstepping boundaries, shaming, and judging. These aren't just one-off annoyances, but they are behaviors that wear us down, chipping away at our peace and keeping us on edge. It's important to say here that none of us are perfect, and family can bring out layers we don't even know that we have. But when their patterns are persistent, it's worth shifting how we show up. Research confirms this. For example, a 2025 study found that family conflict, especially criticism and frequent fighting amongst family members, was among the strongest predictors of things like depression, anxiety, difficulty sleeping. So when you walk into a gathering and you're bracing yourself, you're not imagining it. Your body knows. One of the most liberating things I've learned in mindfulness work, and we've actually talked about it here before, is that how they approach me, how they talk to me or treat me, well, it isn't actually about me at all. It's not us, it's them. When someone is condescending or judgmental of my job, my relationship, my life, in just anything in general, it's not actually about me. When they cling to my past to keep their opinion of me confined to that person I was 5, 10, and 20 years ago, it's still not actually about me. More often than not, the difficult behavior we are confronted with at family gatherings is a projection of their own unresolved trauma, fear, or their belief system. When we remember that, we create distance between ourselves and the behavior. Not like in a cold, uncaring way, but in a wise, compassionate way. When my mother was overly concerned about how I looked to the world, it would hurt. I would feel judged and insufficient. But really, that was her own fear speaking up. And while I wasn't bothered by what the neighbors would think, I can now look back and feel some compassion for her. Because how awful must it be to carry around that extra weight of feeling like you always have to perform, to feel like you have to live in a way that appeases somebody else's judgments and thoughts about what I should be doing or what I should look like. Reframing our understanding of their behavior doesn't excuse it, but it helps us avoid taking it on as our own failure or shortcoming. If you have that family member who is judgmental about your life choices, just gently remind yourself, this is about their story, and I'm not responsible for that. This shift in perspectives gives us power. When we're up against the triggers, the painful patterns, this power gives us the ability to choose our responses instead of just reacting through our own fears. Which brings me to my next point. Know your fears, know your triggers before you walk in. When you have a few minutes, check in with yourself. What are your hot buttons? What topics, behaviors, or tones send your body into reaction mode? I strongly recommend journaling this out if specifics don't come to mind, but you just kind of know that icky feeling. Pick a past interaction. Write out what was said. What story did you tell yourself in that moment? Maybe like, they're saying this because I'm not good enough. Maybe you try to justify their behavior, like they're proud of me, they're just worried. Then ask yourself and write it out. How would I like to respond or not the next time? What would it look like if I paused instead of reacting? I'll leave these prompts in the description below so that you can come back to them later. Taking time to consider these things is good and all, but I do strongly encourage you to write them out. Put that little bit of extra effort in to show up 100% for yourself here. Just thinking through these past interactions can bring those emotions back up, which is going to engage our amygdala and impair our rational thinking. The act of actually writing it out engages our prefrontal cortex, helping us to regulate the amygdala. Using these prompts I give, writing it out in this structured way reduces rumination, where we just get more and more entrenched in a story, and it helps us to break out of the repetitive negative loops. And journaling encourages cognitive reappraisal, which means it allows us to look back on these past experiences and actually reduce the stress and distress that they bring. Writing out our new perspectives, like how it's more about them and less about me, actually helps to encode it into our long-term memory. So that way, when we are confronted with their behavior, that new perspective is right there, ready to support us through the experience. Okay, I'll get off my journaling soapbox now. Just know that I feel very strongly about it. All right, whether we are in the heat of the moment or if we are replaying it in our heads, thinking of what we wish we would have said or done differently, or thinking of a better comeback, our emotions rise. When our emotions like fear, anger, shame, when they run high, our body actually reduces the blood flow to the prefrontal cortex. That means we're more likely to react from old habits instead of responding from our higher self with some clarity. By taking stock of our triggers beforehand to be prepared, we instill a kind of self-insurance that we won't be adding more weight to the story. Friend, if no one has told you before, or if you have forgotten, please know this. It is absolutely okay to prioritize you, to set boundaries, and to choose your peace. It's not selfish when we choose to protect our own peace. We are able to show up, even in toxic situations, with clarity instead of reactivity, which is going to benefit everyone involved. Setting boundaries with toxic family can look like clearly stating, I don't want to talk about that topic right now, or I'm happy with my decisions, or even I'll stay until dessert or for a couple hours or whatever kind of time marker. I'll stay and then I've got to head out. If you're put in the hot seat about your career or relationship and they start grilling you, when are you going to get a real job? When are you going to get married? When are you going to have kids? You could say, I'm happy with my choices, and that's all that matters. It's short, grounded, and truthful. Even if you're not presently where you want to be, you know things take time, and you don't owe them any detailed explanations to justify your choices. They're yours to make, not theirs. Friend, be compassionate with yourself. You may have done so much work, so much inner work, and grown so much, but as soon as you pull into that driveway, as soon as you pull up to that family event, you may feel like you're 12 years old again, and that's okay. Give yourself grace. The part of you that has grown is still valid, even if old feelings surface. Another thing that I had to learn and take a lot of time working through is to let go of how we think it should be with our family. I spent a lot of time being mad because I felt like my mother should have been that loving support, my biggest cheerleader, the one to understand. I had to realize I was projecting my expectations onto her, and every time she fell short, I would get hurt, and I would bring a new layer of tension to our interactions. I had to learn that she was probably never going to be that for me, and I took time with that to find peace in it. Later down the road, I learned to be that person for myself, to be my own biggest cheerleader, and she can't disappoint me in that way anymore. Letting go of how we wish it was and how we wish it should be with our families can be very hard, but it's so very freeing. We don't get to pick our family, but we do get to choose how we show up. Being able to step out of the story and just say, it is what it is so very freeing. All right, so it's time to get practical now. Let's look through our mindfulness toolkit and see what we've got that'll get us through this holidays. First, we have emotional distancing. If we feel triggered or if we feel like their tone said more than their words did, remind yourself, tell yourself, I don't need to take on someone else's opinion. If someone begins to criticize your life or choices, try a conversation redirect. You might simply say, thanks for asking. I'm happy with how things are going. Tell me how you're doing. And steer them to other topics. Next, have an exit strategy. If you can drive yourself or arrange your own transportation, do so. That way, you can leave when you want. And a nice little trick to minimize the time spent is to show up a little bit late and leave a little bit early. That early exit is strength and prioritizing yourself. If you can bring a support person, invite someone you trust, a friend or a partner, and before you go in, agree on a subtle signal, a gesture or a phrase that you could give to signal to them that you're ready to go or at least need to step out for some air. Next, focus on what you can control. You can't control the toxic person, but you can control your focus. So put it towards something that will nourish you. Maybe it's seeing distant relatives, a cozy comfort movie, catching up with that cousin you connect with, or helping out in the kitchen. Okay, this next one might get a little bit woo-woo, but trust me, these work too. Protect your energy. Visualize a force field around you. Maybe yours looks like a bubble of light or an impenetrable shield. Visualization can actually impact our brains beyond just conjuring up an image. It engages our emotional centers, which helps us build motivation and confidence. And stones like black tourmaline or black onyx are great to carry with you in these types of situations to help protect us from taking on the energies of the toxic people that may be around. If their words turn abusive, if the environment gets hostile, you can literally just go home and go to bed. It is 100% okay to say, I'm not doing this, and walk right out that door, go home, get comfy, curl up with a good book or a movie. Actually, I take that back. You don't even have to say anything. You can literally just walk away. You don't have to stay just because it's the holidays. Your peace and your safety matters. If your family traditionally does a stay in the house type of gathering and it feels too heavy, suggest an outing. Go into the movies, taking a walk, go into the zoo if you got one in your town, or a drive through the neighborhood to look at all the holiday lights and decorations to help get everybody out of the house. Now, this last one I have for you is less of a tool in our mindful box and more of a caution to help set ourselves up for success. We all know alcohol tends to make these situations worse. So let's just steer clear of it. Actually, one more. Don't forget our breathing techniques. In situations like family gatherings, your breath is going to be your number one rescue inhaler move. Anchor with it. Take a slow inhale for 4 counts, hold it for 2, and exhale long for 6 counts. Giving your nervous system a quick reset to bring you back from the ledge anytime you feel that tension start to set in. After everything is said and done, you're back home or they've left your home, however your setup is. Be gentle with yourself. You made it. You were courageous. Maybe go for a walk to let any residual stress or energy and emotions have an outlet. If it's too cold to outside, try some yoga or even just put on your favorite music and dance around your living room. After the experience is also a great time to bring out the journal again. Writing out, what did I handle well? What surprised me? Were there parts I enjoyed? Maybe you connected with someone unexpectedly, baked something you loved, or watched a favorite movie. And it's okay to celebrate that. Friend, you're not there to solve generational issues in one holiday season. Set realistic expectations for yourself. Make your goal to be enjoy the parts you can and to protect your peace. If you're heading into a tricky holiday gathering this season, pause for a moment. take a deep breath and remind yourself you've got tools, you've done the work, and you're showing up for you. These, of course, are just some general mindful ways we can approach the holidays. If there is something or a specific dynamic that you are dreading this holiday season and you don't mind sharing in the comments, let me know. Maybe we can create a more specific plan together. If you don't want to share in the public comments, but would still like some additional directions or help, I have my email listed in the description below, so feel free to reach out. Remember, you have the power to set the tone, protect your energy, and leave with your peace intact. Friend, thank you so much for sharing a piece of your day with me. Stay present, stay kind to yourself, and I will see you soon.